Very good morning to all. So today I'll be presenting a class on the etiology of dental caries. So dental caries is the most prevalent oral disease which is present in the children as well as the older people. And we all know that it is multifactorial in etiology and it presents with a wide range of clinical features. The caries dentine as well as the caries enamel and hence has to be removed in order to achieve a mechanically and biologically successful restoration. So let us see what is the definition of dental caries. And the most common definition was given by Schaefer in 1993. And he defined dental caries as an irreversible microbial disease of the calcified tissues of the teeth, which is characterized by demineralization of the inorganic portion and the destruction of the organic substance, finally, which leads to a cavitation. So this is the most common definition, which was given by Schaefer in 1993. And dental caries, in short, we can say that it is the localized destruction of the dental hard tissues, which is due to the acid produced by the microorganisms by the fermentation of the carbohydrates. Thus, it is a bacterial-driven, chronic, site-specific, multifactorial, dynamic disease that results from an imbalance in the physiologic equilibrium between the tooth mineral and the plaque fluid. Now, let us see what is the etiology of dental caries. In olden times, it was said that there are three main factors which causes this dental caries, and it is usually the tooth. Of course, we need a teeth, and then there is a substrate, which is most oftenly the carbohydrates, and of course, the microorganisms, the susceptible microorganisms. So we need the tooth, we need the substrate, and we need the microorganisms, which finally lead to a dental caries. And later, a fourth factor, that is the time, which was added into the etiology of dental caries. Now, let us see how this tooth, as well as the carbohydrates, the time leads to the formation of the caries. Okay, so first let us see the saliva. So saliva has an important role in preventing dental caries. That is how it is. It always baths the tooth surface. That is, it removes all the caries and as well as the substrate which is bound to the tooth surface will be removed with the help of this saliva. And it also helps to maintain the pH in the oral cavity. And moving on to the diet. Diet, the most important contributing factor for dental caries is obviously the substrate, that is the food particle which is stuck onto the tooth surface. And most commonly, the most cariogenic substrate is, of course, the carbohydrate. And also we have different types of carbohydrates. The type of carbohydrate also influences the dental caries. The more stickier the carbohydrate is, the more simple the carbohydrate is, it can be easily broken by the bacteria. So it most often leads to the dental caries. So simpler carbohydrates can be easily broken by bacteria. So simple carbohydrates leads to more amount of caries, as well as the retentive nature of carbohydrates. That is, as long as the carbohydrates get stuck onto the tooth surface, it leads to the more amount of caries. So that is how the carbohydrates plays an important role in formation of caries. So as I told you, the important properties of carbohydrates which make it cariogenic is the metabolized form of carbohydrate. That is, the more simpler ones can be easily metabolized and which causes more amount of caries than the complex carbohydrates. And also the production of acids. That is, more amount of carbohydrates, more production of acid. So hence, more number of caries. So this is how the carbohydrates leads to the formation of caries. And we know that the fruit juices and soft drinks are a major food substrate which leads to dental caries because they have a large amount of sugar in them. Now, in a previous study, it is shown that the most important microorganisms which is contributing to dental caries is, of course, the Streptococcus mutans. Streptococcus mutans plays an important role in the formation of dental caries. And also the tooth structure. The tooth structure also plays an important role in the formation of the dental caries. That is the tooth which have got more pits and fissures, deep pits and fissures. These pits and fissures will hold on to the substrate. That is, they help in the more retention of the substrate onto the tooth surface, which leads to the cavity formation and dental caries. So, more the deeper the pits and fissures, and which leads to the formation of caries. So, tooth also plays an important role in formation of dental caries. So, in short, I can say that dental caries is a consequence of the imbalance in the microflora due to the enrichment with microbial community of potentially more cariogenic bacteria due to the frequent conditions of low pH in plaque biofilm. So that is an imbalance. So dental caries is usually due to an imbalance in the pH in the saliva. That is, when there is an imbalance in the pH, when the pH becomes low, when it becomes more acidic, it leads to the formation of more caries. And as I told you, Streptococcus mutans, we have a wide variety of microflora in our oral cavity. We have different groups of Streptococcus itself, and in that group, Streptococcus mutans plays an important and a virulent role in the formation of caries, because Streptococcus mutans produces a larger number of acids, and they produces large amount of polysaccharides, and they also break down the salivary glycoproteins more easily than the other microorganisms. So the most cariogenic and the most virulent microorganisms which contributes to the dental caries is the Streptococcus mutans. So when we see the chemistry of dental caries, so these are the etiology factors. That is, you have the Streptococcus mutans, you have the tooth surface, then you have the substrate, that is the carbohydrate, the simpler and the more retentive form of the carbohydrates, and also the tooth, the nature of the tooth surface. More deeper the pits and fissures, more the caries formation, more the cavitations. So these are the contributing factors for dental caries. So let us see what actually happens in dental caries. So when you have all these contributing factors, what happens is that you have the tooth, you have the susceptible tooth, you have the microflora, and you have the substrate. So what happens is that the microorganisms, they act on the substrate, and they break down the carbohydrates and lead to the formation of acids. So these acids will cause demineralization of the enamel tissues. The enamel and the dentine go demineralizations, and which finally lead to dental caries and cavitation. So what happens is that usually there is a phase of demineralization and there is a phase of remineralization. So even when caries is occurring, when there is demineralization happening, if the saliva potential is high, remineralization will occur simultaneously. So the demineralization and remineralization is a phasic phenomenon. So at some point, what happens is that we know that the tooth surface is made up of the hydroxyapatite crystals, right? And at one point, the three-dimensional structure of the hydroxyapatite is not able to withstand the stress which is created by the mastication, brushing. What happens is that finally this is leading to the irreversible cavity formation. So this is what happens in the caries. So as I told you, what are the etiology of caries, what are the contributing factors for caries, and what happens in caries, that is demineralization and remineralization continuously happens. And when the demineralization and remineralization is happening, what happens? The three-dimensional structure of the tooth structure will be destroyed. It will not be able to withstand the forces of mastications. So finally, it leads to cavitation. So that is how a dental caries happens and progresses. So the caries process can be understood in simpler terms as being the result of acids, which is produced by the microorganisms on the fermentable carbohydrates, which is causing a demineralization of the tooth mineral, and ultimately the three-dimensional structure of the tooth mineral will be lost and leading to a cavity formation. So that is for the classes today. And thank you so much.